guys, it's Hatchmano. How's everyone doing? Good, 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 I hope. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to do a video that is based on fragrances inspired by music, or have a musical background or story attached to them, or have a musical name, something like that. I've wanted to do this for a really long time, so yeah, here I am. I love music. Who doesn't love music? It says it right on my body. Actually, thinking about it, I met somebody once that did not like music. That conversation didn't go down very well. In fact, I ruined the date I was on because it was the date's friend. Needless to say, I never saw either of them ever again. But anyway, I hope you like music. So I'm doing 7 fragrances. I wanted to do 10, but the truth of the matter is, I couldn't think of any more. Or at least not any more that I have smelled anyway. So there are 7 that I have smelled, and they are going to be the ones in this video. So let's do it. So the first one is called Symphony Passion. This is a company that has a really interesting backstory, and all of their fragrances are very heavily themed as well. So I'll tell you about them. They're an Italian brand. They're called Unum. They actually have 3 lines of fragrances, all of which I've smelled. But their main line is called Unum. There are 6 fragrances. They're a bunch of people that are kind of gothic. Their fragrances have somewhat of a religious or spiritual feeling to all of them, or story at least. And the most interesting thing about them is, while they have a fragrance line, they are also tailors to the Vatican. How cool is that? They have a fragrance in their line, not this one, but it's called Lavs, and it is the blend that they infuse into the robes, which is really interesting. It's a really cool fragrance. Check it out if you can. But this one is called Symphony Passion, and one of the guys that owns it, I think there's 3 or 4 people that are behind this company. One of them is an organ player, and that's the inspiration behind this fragrance. So this fragrance is about an antique church organ. The backstory talks about someone going up these stone church steps to play this organ that hasn't been played in so many years, and the smell that the organ might have, or the smell that might come out of the pipes once you press the keys for the first time in a really long time. I think it's an amazing concept. I really, really like it. The bottle is crazy. Let me tell you the notes. I'm going to spray it on my hand. Wait there 1 second. My hands are full. My hands are full right now. Oh no. This has not started well. Let's just break it right open and rub it on that way. Oh, let's just do that. There you go. Done. So the notes of this fragrance are vetiver, lemon, cedarwood, sandalwood, peony, musk, and some other wood that I can't figure out right now. 1 second. Cashmeran. So this is a really intense fragrance. It's very dry. The main feeling I get from this is it's kind of centered around vetiver, but it's a very dry, intensely woody fragrance. It feels dusty, it feels old, and the vetiver in here feels like it's almost verging on being a bit scorched. So it feels like it's kind of smoky, but not something that's burning. It's something that's already burnt, if that makes sense. That's what it feels like. It's really intense. It's an extrait de parfum as well, so it's stronger than eau de parfum. All of their lines are extra, so they don't mess about when they're talking about concentration and theming. It's a lot. A lot of it's a little bit sinister. A lot of it is, like I said, religious. They've got one based on a cathedral. They've got one based on the Ascension of Mary. All kinds of stuff. But anyway, Symphony Passion is really intensely woody and dry and dark and gothic feeling. So dun dun dun. Sorry, I adjusted my camera for this one. I realised it was a little bit head choppy. Anyway, the next one I want to talk about is Lyric by Amouage. This is the women's one. There is a man's one as well. It's quite a loosely based translation. It's about a song. But yeah, I chose it because of the name, Lyric. Haha. This to me is a very exquisite fragrance. Whoa, you are dirty. Note to self, clean perfume collection at the next available opportunity. This is a really exquisite perfume. It's centered around roses. It also has a lot of sandalwood and incense in it. It's very soft. It's almost a bit waxy and powdery feeling. To me, it's pure elegance. There's a bit of spice in it from carnation. It has ylang ylang as well. But the main thing is roses. It's one of the most beautiful rose fragrances I've ever smelled. It's such a pleasure to wear. I think, you know, when you just know when you're spraying something gorgeous on your skin. This one does that. When I wear it, I feel like I've sprayed something really special on myself. It's really, really beautiful. I've reviewed it as well, so if you guys want to know more about this one in depth, then Lyric by Amouage. Oh my gosh, beautiful. The next one's a slight cheat because the backstory isn't really musical, but the name is a little bit. It's Every Storm a Serenade by Imaginary Authors. I love the backstories from Imaginary Authors. This one's about a woman who upsticks, is that a word? Upsticks and moves to her mother's cabin by the sea in a forest in Denmark because she's trying to write a book. She needs a bit of a distraction, she needs to focus, and she ends up having a sordid love affair with a fisherman. So there isn't really much going on in the way of musical in that one, but it's called Every Storm a Serenade, so that's why I chose it. 1 second. So the fragrance is not my favourite for Imaginary Authors, but it's still quite a cool one. It's got a lot of evergreen notes in it. They're here. You've got spruce, eucalyptus, vetiver, ambergris, Baltic sea mist, and cologne. Cologne, it's called. It's almost like it's centered around Denmark, so it's like a pine forest sea fragrance. It's aquatic and green at the same time. It's kind of spicy as well. It's got that typical scratchy character from Imaginary Authors fragrances, which I really like. And yeah, that's why it's in the list. It's also, I think, probably my favourite named fragrance in the world. I think Every Storm a Serenade is such a beautiful name. And I put it down to the lady. A storm is a serenade because possibly when there's a storm, the fisherman can't go out, so then that means he's going to stay home and they can continue their affair. That's my take on it anyway. The next one is called Use Abuse, and it's by a company called Juicebox. This entire company is inspired by music. Their bottles have little records on the top, they're inspired by different decades, I think, and Use Abuse was one that I smelled last year. I mentioned it when I did my trip to London vlog. They sprayed it on a card and I wasn't interested. I was like, let me do my own thing, but then I kept smelling it all day and all day, all day and all day and all day, and a bit more day on top of that. And then a lovely colleague of mine gave me a 10ml spray of it. I love it. It's almost an anti-perfume. It's kind of purposefully synthetic. It's very clean, it's very aldehydic, it's very light musky, you know, crystalline white musks. It's really, really nice. I'll put the note list here. There are some florals in there as well, but it doesn't smell floral at all. It feels very cold and almost metallic, but super clean at the same time, and I absolutely love it. I really want to get it in my collection. However, they're kind of pricey for the size, so still, it's a great fragrance, and it's definitely made me intrigued by the brand as a whole now. So, Use Abuse by Juicebox. So the next fragrance is The Afternoon of a Faun by État Libre d'Orange. This fragrance is inspired by, I think it was a piece of music first that was translated into a ballet. And the story behind it is basically a horny faun dancing, going about his daily faun business in a forest, trying to find a nymph that he can frolic with and do rude things to, I'm guessing. This fragrance is really weird. It's one of the more wacky ones, I think, that come from État Libre d'Orange. It's, of course, a forest-scented fragrance. It is mainly oak mossy, but there's a whole bunch of immortelle in it as well, which is everlasting flower, which is kind of a spicy maple syrup type fragrance, note. So it's almost like a syrupy forest green thing. It's really bizarre. I'm not sure how wearable it is. I think it's kind of cool, but you really have to like your abstract fragrances to like it. I've tried it on my skin a few times. I probably will review it eventually because I love the name. I made a fragrance called Faun as well, so that's why the intrigue came to this one and why I wanted to smell it a lot. But yeah, this immortelle oak moss, kind of leathery, it's almost animalic as well. Fragrance is just slightly strange, but yeah, it's based on a ballet. So, yeah. So the second to last fragrance I want to talk about is one that I actually haven't smelled, but I have it here. It's called Unknown Pleasures and it's by Kerosene. I really like this brand. I wish they were sold in England somewhere right now I have to scrimp and salvage fragrances from my friend that goes to New York quite often. So this fragrance is inspired by Joy Division, a 70s band. It's an album name they had, Unknown Pleasures, and the fragrance is actually inspired by London, so yay for me, I guess. It's meant to be about walking down a cold London street, waffles I think, there's going to be tea in here, there's Earl Grey tea, there's tonka, there's I think caramel, I could be wrong on that one, goes to check internet, maybe I'm wrong, but it's a tea tonka kind of thing, and I haven't smelled it, but I'm going to smell it now. So this was inspired by Joy Division, who were before my time, unfortunately. Only by a year did that album come out, you know, before I was born. So let's smell it and see what it's like. I have no idea. I have reviewed a few kerosene fragrances in the past, so if you care to go and check them out, do so. But this one for now smells like lemongrass and caramel. I think it has a note of waffle in it as well, like a Belgian waffle, so I guess it's kind of like a tea gourmand type thing, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting lemongrass with a real sweet backdrop. It's almost crunchy smelling, like I could lick my arm but it would taste horrible. So the Earl Grey, yes, it must be bergamot, which is what's making it smell lemony or citrusy. So that's at the top. And then there's a slight powderiness in here as well, but the main undertone of this is something really gourmand. Having smelled a lot of kerosene fragrances before, this is definitely not my favourite upon first sniff. Interesting though. So this last fragrance on the list is another one that I have not smelled, but I have here. It's by a very, very indie perfume house called Jasmine Sarai, and the entire brand again is inspired by music, lyrics, rhythms, beats, harmony, stuff like that. The boxes of the perfumes even look like cassette tapes, so it's very retro. And this one is called How You Love. I think this one is inspired by a Sade song called Only Love Gets You Through. Checks internet. It's only love that gets you through. So this features notes of beeswax. So it features notes of beeswax, cardamom, rose, jasmine, sandalwood, musk, and I've smelled one of her other fragrances called Solar One. So let's try this one. I don't know how I feel about her fragrances. I think they might even be fully natural. Checks internet. I'm probably wondering, why didn't he do his research for this video? I was just really excited to do it. So let's smell it. Okay, it's really honey a lot. It's a very waxy honey. I can really smell jasmine as well. It's almost like jasmine petals have been soaked in honey. It's not a kind of gloopy honey in this one though. This feels like a floral honey. It does feel natural. I'm gonna bet my bottom dollar that they are natural fragrances. I probably regret saying that, but hey, never mind. Don't hold it against me. Yeah, that one's really weird. It's so floral with a waxy honey background. I'm not sure I like it too much. Try it out, see if you can find them. She's really, really niche, that brand, Jasmine Sarai. The perfumer is not Jasmine Sarai. I think the company is called Jasmine Sarai. There's a different perfumer that makes them. So, yeah, definitely like a jasmine honey, sort of almost tea-like fragrance. So it feels like almost like a herbal drink. Interesting. Anyway, that was my slapdash kind of excited review. It wasn't even a review. Video about fragrances that have a musical inspiration behind them. Some more than others. Anyway guys, I hope you like this video. I'm out from my knife. Click my logo down there to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon for another video. Goodbye.